Okay, I think it started recording.
Hmm.
Make myself beautiful.
Okay, good. It's too late. We're live now.
Yes, man.
So I think as other hosts do, like Joe Rogan, he's like, today welcome the great and powerful Dimitri Burlac.
Thank you, Mark. I'm very happy to be here and talk to you about our mind and the consciousness in the universe and all the topics in and around it.
Sounds sounds amazing. Where where do we begin?
Where do we begin? Well, I brought a question with me today. I noticed in the past few weeks that people were talking often about what it means to be themselves. Like, often somehow it just struck my attention in the last few weeks. Somewhere in the public transport at the lakeside, I somehow passed this conversation, and sometimes I joined, sometimes the conversation started with me. So the big question is, what does it mean to be yourself? Because the easiest counter question would be like, can I be not myself, right? If I'm not myself, um, I'm all the time myself. So what does it mean when people say just be yourself?
Hmm.
What do you think? Like what does it mean to you if you hear somebody saying just be yourself? What does it mean?
So
Like
I've
how can you be not yourself?
got a lot of thoughts on that. A lot of very interesting topic. I think
Yes, indeed.
I've seen this a few times. First time I encountered it, I think Dr. Seuss said something like that. He said the, you are you, there is you are you that is truer than true. There's no one alive that is youer than you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful one.
I knew I had it in my head somewhere.
Yeah.
Uh,
There's no one in life who is youer than you, exactly.
mm. And I think
So on the one hand, definitely being ourselves is all the experience that there is, the negatives, the positives, but also the ones. So what I understand is actually that often there is a comfortable way to be, and this comfortable way is somehow agile, it is dynamic, it is powerful, it is colorful, it is natural. And then there is the outside way to look at, so or what we think the outside world would look or see in us. So I think one of the cores of this sentence to be used is actually to say that a person is trying too hard to fulfill some sort of a role or an image that they believe somebody else expects them to be. So it is a lot about these expectations, and so I think this advice is usually given in this moment when people just want to say, don't try to please an image that you think is the right image. Try to be more, because it stiffens you. It makes you less interesting to be like the image that you perform for other people is by design less authentic, but also just less of who you are, less of you.
hmm,
So I think this is the idea. Um, and of course, the interesting counter question is always, but if I think that this is the image that I should perform, then it is me. These are my thoughts. This is the image that needs to be performed. So it's part of my experience to think that I need to perform something that I don't think I am currently,
Hmm.
right?
So what
So I
on
think it's a
that,
very interesting.
I think on that, people mimic and copy each other. Also,
Yeah, yeah,
monkeys do it. Like we look at each other, and it's also a way of hypnosis. Is people you can take on how the person's looking, and then like you just swallowed there, for example. So I can swallow and then smile
and I
there
also instantly
and
get the
copy.
feeling like I have to also to swallow. Yes,
Yeah, and just like movements, little adjustments, and you start copying the body language, and everybody's
yeah,
mimicking all the time. So
right,
you mimic and you constantly copying, then so what part of that is actually you or authentic if so much is
right,
copied?
right. So yeah, I think this is a very deep topic because basically there is something that the mirror neurons that are actually helping us and our physiology and our mind to actually like yeah be better animals that live in herds and kind of quickly copy the opposite so that we quickly develop some empathy and sympathy. This is definitely something very natural. It's very biological and very um, yeah very strong biological concepts that are implemented in our body and help us actually be who we are, humans, right? But then there is this moment of, for example, even if I feel you swallow and I feel that I also want to swallow just because there is this mirror neurons, but I do understand it, and I have the feeling, or I have this image, the overall image that while we are recording this conversation, I shouldn't behave the same. Let's say this is a belief, an inner belief that I have, right? So I will follow this inner belief and try to not swallow. So I will actually fight my my movements that my body is actually telling me to do, right? And at that moment, it would be not natural. So I would actually counterfeit a natural state of mine. And yeah, to me, it's still a big question. The counterfeit is still a conscious decision. So it is still a big part of my experience. And of course, this would be the moment where people would say, "Oh, just try to be more yourself," which means if I translate it, it means actually just try to um, feel more comfortable in yourself. So try to get rid of the discomfort of actions and thoughts that are making you discomfortable. But inherently, also this discomfort is decision, which might be conscious or unconscious, and it's an experience that is happening to me and through me. So I think the acceptance of every experience we go through as our own experience, the ownership of our experience, is one of the biggest presents we can make ourselves.
Yeah. So what I think on that is that that to be yourself, the question would be who are you? Like who are you really? I think
Yeah,
that's the question, I think. because
Right,
what people think that they are. I mean, most people, I think they are their thoughts. Um,
right, right,
I hear it so much as well, where people say that they are a way, like a particular way, and that's just how they are. But the
yeah,
way that I take that is you can change who you are. Like if you don't like a negative thing about yourself, you can change it. You can explore it,
right.
find out the reason, and you can change it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are that. Actions and habits and behaviors can all be changed. So then it's still in who are you if you are not those things.
Absolutely. Like just making a new habit, as it's written down in several books, like Atomic Habits or countless other books. It's just a system that gives us a routine to actually come into this doing of yeah, of creating habits and movements and routines that are supportive or not supportive. And we can definitely, so the science says we can change it. We can design it. It's not a given. Although of course not every behavior is changeable. Like I think there is some limit to this. You can have every behavior you want. Like some behaviors are so strong and are coming from our very inner biology that to change them is impossible. One good example for this is um, those visual effects that you see sometimes, those images where you look at and then they're moving, but actually every piece is completely static.
Mm-hmm.
You know those, or where you have objects of different size, but then it's actually just an illusion, this visual optical illusions,
I
and then
believe I believe it's called LSD.
yeah, once it starts moving, then yeah, but so the optical illusions, they are actually something that is working only because our biology is that way. So knowing that, and this is the heavy part, knowing that the objects on the picture are of the same size, it doesn't help you to see them of the same size. You still see them in different sizes. Knowing that an optical illusion doesn't move is helping you to deal with the reality, but it still is moving in your eyes, and it's not because you don't want to understand the reality. It's just because the biology is done in a way that eyes are producing these movements or producing this inequality of objects together with our brain, and it's just a biological truth.
Mm.
So I think some behaviors are deeply wired in our biological reality, and knowing them helps us a lot to understand what we can change and what we cannot.
Mm.
So I
I
think
think if I can add to that, I think that it's like we confined in the factors of reality. So we can't escape like gravitational force. We can't jump and fly to the sky. We have to. We can't go without water. We can't go without food. We can't go without sleep. You have to also have.
basically all the needs we have are needs, like basic needs and extended needs are needs, and they are hardwired. And yeah, maybe the way the variability is so high. Like some people need to eat maybe once a day, some people maybe 3 times a day. Somebody needs to sleep for 9 hours, somebody maybe just for 3 hours, and they are feeling good.
Mhm.
So what does it mean to be yourself? if your body needs to sleep 4 hours and you are sleeping, let's say, 7 hours.
Mm. I think those would
Like,
be,
in what way would you say is this not being yourself? Like, it is definitely less comfortable being you if you are against your biology.
I think it makes it harder because I think for higher functioning of the organism that we are, I think the basic needs need to be met. If the body is not in a good state, the first priority then will be to get into a good state. Like
Yeah,
if you hurt your arm, the goal then is to fix your arm first. Once your arm's fixed, then you can continue with the other things. But before that point, that you're still gonna have this pain in your arm. If you've broken it, so it's like, okay, you need to get it looked at and fixed. So first biology, get to a good state, and from there, then you can start to explore the senses and the external and also internal reality. But as long as there's like a physical discomfort or pain, that's where the energy or the draw is going to go towards.
right. So basically, what you say is how I understand it. It's like healing is the number one priority to achieve um, again smooth operations, like smooth operability, like being able to do things smoothly. Because whatever you do, if you're not healed, it takes energy from you,
I think if we
right?
go
So
back, if we turn the clock back 300,000 years, um,
yeah,
the first priority is you'd need food if we in the wild, and we need our senses to make sure that there's no predators going to catch us on the way of getting food. And then so we need to be alert, and first priority is get food for the day. Um,
yeah,
and it's make sure you're warm enough at night, make sure you've got shelter. His basic needs need to be met.
right, right. But so in modern days, what would it be good for?
In
I
modern day,
mean,
what do you mean exactly?
so I mean, in the past, so your example was we jumped 300 years back, and then there is all around us is danger, and we need to fulfill our basic needs, and it is a hard job to fulfill the basic needs,
Mm-hmm.
and everything that is disturbing us or taking us apart or away from fulfilling the basic needs is is actually adding up life danger,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if I need to find a shelter and my body is not functioning well, then there is a risk that my body and who I am will be not existing,
Mm.
right? It's an existential threat. It's an existential question. While today, of course, let's say you have a malfunctioning part of your body, and yeah, I mean, the as long as you live in cities that are very protected, very open, very functioning, there will be a way for you to exist, even though parts of your body are malfunctioning. So it is not existential anymore. And I think this is maybe something that is at the core of all this of this whole idea that we are talking through is what is the price for being not yourself?
So I
And
think
I think if yeah,
the yeah, back to the question of being yourself or not being yourself, I think it first needs to be answered. what is yourself? I think we've found that we are a biological entity, and there's survival and needing to be safe and being part of a society. But what else does it mean to be yourself apart from the basic physiological needs? Like who is it that you really are?
Right. But so my point was a little bit more in the direction of if there is no existential, so if surviving is not the main driver of healing. So if you look at it, I would like to go back to your example of 300,000 years ago. So surviving and existing, it was the main driver of healing quickly and protecting the body and mind consistently, so that basically survival and existence would increase in chance. But if this is not the main driver, which is the case in modern societies, like surviving is not the main driver. Like even with big injuries, people can survive long time because of the very dense networks that we managed to build up in the last 100,000 of years, because of cities and laws and all the technological advancements. So what is the main driver of actually maintaining kind of this operational excellence, like keeping all the disease and all the harm low so that you can do something, right? Which I think this is like a dysfunctional relationship to being ill or to being unhealed. Because an unhealed person can have healing as its own journey. Like it can become its own journey, right? It can become its own character and its own ego. So I think in order to see this, so the conclusion would be now, in order to see ourselves as who we are, we need actually to find motivation on why to be who we are, if it's not an existential threat, being not who we are, right?
Why to be who we are if it's not an existential? I think it would probably be there's like a fear element.
Fear, yeah.
I think people are afraid of being who they are because also like go back 300,000 years, because that's how our brains and our biological organisms have evolved. So modern society, our brains haven't caught up to modern society. But in the small society of having tribes, if you didn't fit into the tribe, yet you were exiled, and if you're exiled, that means you're probably going to die on your own.
Right.
That's the fear I think people have of not being themselves, is they think that if they are themselves, they're going to not be accepted anymore. And if they're not accepted anymore, they lose their status in the tribe and they'll be exiled and they'll die. So it gives a biological threat, like the nervous system, everything reacts and it goes, I'm in trouble, I'm going to die. Like,
right, yeah.
that's immediately brain signals to nervous system, to heart, adrenal glands, everything starts functioning. I think people are very afraid to be different.
Or what they perceive as different. So they're afraid to be noted in their perception as different. Yeah, that makes sense. So one of the biggest driver to actually feel comfortable would be experience less fear.
Um, I think fear is more, fear is natural. It tells you if there's danger. But I think the way of it is to explore the fear. Because when you explore it and then you figure out what it really is, then it only leads you to answers. Um, so it's not the fear itself is the problem. It's ignoring the fear that's the problem. It's running away from the fear. But if you follow the fear, it actually give you very good information. I always
Hmm.
think of an example of like I like to do cliff jumping, and
Yeah,
I jump off a cliff into water. It it's a very fearful situation, but what the fear is telling you is stand properly. If you're on slippery rocks, make sure your feet and everything's pushing and you're grounded. There's intense mathematical calculations going on in the brain of where to jump, how to jump, the distancing, and there you really need fear. If you have no fear, you're gonna die if you ignore it. You're gonna slip,
right.
hit your head. You can't ignore it. You have to be fully engaged.
Right, right. So basically, fear is one of the best systems for us to interact with our physical world. Because
Mm.
otherwise, we would just do very stupid stuff and yeah, harm ourselves quickly.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. So getting a lot of messages. Oh,
Yeah. So Mark, I I wonder because you do a lot of yoga, and yoga is of course a practice of the body and the mind, and it's also a practice of becoming,
it could be a
right?
practice of becoming, or it could be a practice of unbecoming.
Or unbecoming, but it's definitely a practice of changing, like of changing who you are. Like you start a practice, and every practice is leading to a change, right? So even if you look at yoga from the just like a habitual perspective, then yeah, then you have a new habit. So a new habit is making you another person.
I think one way is to look at the meaning of the word yoga, and it means union. And
Union.
the union is then that of the ego consciousness with the consciousness itself. So it's letting go of the ego or merging the conscious with the unconscious. And it's actually very similar to Carl Jung's theory, which is until you make the unconscious conscious, it will run your life and you'll call it fate. So much of the unconscious is there because people are afraid of it. But when you approach the unconscious and you make it conscious by bringing a light to it, it's the same thing that guru, like the word guru means, is to the person that points things out or brings light to the darkness. So it's like taking
Hmm.
a lamp into the darkness and exploring it, like going through the caves and finding out what's really there. Because you might have been afraid of a cave for like 10 years, and then you go to the cave and you're like, oh, it's actually nice here. It's nice,
Hmm.
some water coming in. It's actually a very beautiful place, something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Opens
But
up
so
your
reducing fear
mind.
is again back to this topic of being more comfortable with yourself, right? So you like a fear is something that make us feel uncomfortable, even though it's a beautiful mechanism to help us survive. But we don't like fearful places in general. In general, most people don't like. Of course, there are some people who enjoy fear. They watch horror movies or they jump out of planes and do all sorts of activities that are fearful.
I think yeah, there's many ways of looking at it. Like fear in those ways, I think it comes back to what how we're brought up. And a lot of times they tell people like to suppress fear, or they you learn from a young age in general to not use it correctly as a
Hmm.
sense. I would think to the correct word would be to use it as a sense. But you hear it a lot. Don't be afraid. But there's nothing wrong with being afraid. It's be afraid and use it as a sense, but don't push it away. And I think in terms of
Right.
like these adrenaline junkies that jump out of airplanes and set the parachutes, the fear then is what keeps them feeling alive. So that's I think
That's what they need. Yeah. I really love how our conversation started with what does it mean to be yourself? And now, at almost the end of the conversation, we arrived at the very beautiful summary sentence of just don't be afraid. So, I'm not sure we managed to uncover the full potential of what it means to be yourself, but I like that it came now with a package of don't be afraid, which is for me very much linked to being yourself. As you said before, often is connected to being maybe disliked, maybe being expelled from a community, being on your own, being somehow weird and not liked. And all of this triggers fears. And these fears are sometimes real, sometimes less real. And I like that our conversation now ended with don't be afraid, because this is
but
basically,
I wouldn't exactly say don't be afraid because I think that it's be afraid, but don't think that it's a bad thing, but use
don't
it as
let your decisions be
a
guided by fear only.
integrate the fear, take the fear, use the fear, don't run away
Yes,
from
live
it,
with the fear,
go with
but
it.
don't let the fear decide your life.
Mm.
Yeah,
So
I
I
think
think
this is a beautiful sentence for a meditation podcast.
yeah, I mean I think that's a very deep, complex topic of who you are.
Yeah, indeed. Cool, Mark. I think for today's topic, we went quite deep and went through many different places. And is there a final sentence for our podcast? Do we say something? Something like next week again?
We'll get to that. We'll get there. I think we just put the content out and it'll naturally evolve that way.